Well, by the way, Rich, you can either jump in on that. The other thing I would say to you is, what do you actually think of that broadcast point? Because obviously, here's another thing I'm going to do with all my shows, mate. Every other show, for obvious reasons, self-interest for a start off, and personal social reasons, no one will ever flame the bloody LEC broadcast, mate. They love to bang on the LCS broadcast all bloody day long, but then they pretend like the LEC broadcast like the best shit ever. Like, mate, I think the broadcast for these international tournaments, like I told you, has gotten worse and worse in my opinion. Like, obviously the game has leveled up and people's game knowledge has improved, and for example, some of the play-by-play casters are very, very good, but I think some of the analysis on the broadcast is just whack, dude. Like, I don't even know what angles they're going for sometimes.
I mean, I don't know. It's the thing is, every time I think about LEC, I have to remind myself of the knowledge that it's basically like kids' TV.
Okay.
And it's like I have to
it's
put
like
myself
Dick and
in
Dom or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. I have to put myself in that context before I flame it, because I'm like, this wasn't made for you.
That has put many convenience in a totally different lens for me. Okay,
yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's for the little children who show up and will buy the merch and all the rest of it. And when I view it through that lens, I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't make me any less angry, but I do think it is important to have that perspective. And to me, like, the biggest thing that's like annoying me at this tournament is that you have an event that's hosted in London, which, by the way, for people who don't know, the UK never gets any fucking tournaments. Like, no. I fucking hate live events. I'm not gonna lie, no, but live esports events, and I nearly went. That's how rare it is, right? But what I really don't like is, because of that, you have a obviously partisan crowd towards the European team, which is completely fair and fine. Like, if those are Europeans or whatever. And then you've got Quick Shot, again, like he's on CBBCs or something, but like, oh, come on, guys, let's be nice to the other teams as well. But like actually saying this, like on the broadcast, like talking to the crowd, yeah. And they're having this weird, like, faux banter, like back and forth with the crowd, with like, no, let's not boo pauses. There's nothing we can do about them. And then you've got all the, like, the biggest problem with the LEC cast is this weird alter ego that they all share in, and then their independent super egos that are like spouting on and off on Twitter and on the cut. Like, these people are getting way too big for their boots, mate. That is actually ultimately the biggest problem. They've all just seemed to have carte blanche to say whatever they want during a broadcast, including telling the crowd to shut up, basically, and that they need to give equal support to the other team. Like, who the fuck are you? I get it, you're Riot, so you've gone for this approach where you own the IP and you are literally holding the entire scene hostage, but don't hold the fucking fans hostage in the arena who paid to be there. Like, come on, what is this? And I think this all the sort of mistakes or the little things that I don't like that happen in the broadcast actually stem from this. And basically, these people have decided to do these stylistic things of their own volition, basically because they've been told that their farts don't stink and they're God's gift. And again, I don't want to like paint everyone with the same brush. I can't believe that, you know, someone like Dagda would become susceptible to this. I don't include everyone, you know, but I think that is like the general reason why the cast is kind of very odd in its direction in certain respects, and why there are these certain weird biases and almost what I would call like anti-biases, where you go so far the other way to try and like balance things, and it just ends up in a complete shit show. Just cast the game, give proper analysis, actually sort of pay attention to what's going on, and not just your pre-written storyline that you're hoping gets procced by something happening, right? Which is why you miss something like a pocket Syndra or something like that, because you didn't write it down in your pre-written notes and you're desperate for these little narratives to happen. It's something that's also happened in football a lot recently, was where ever since like they think it's all over, it is now. People have just been so desperate to have that like as their moment, that they're just like waiting for that to happen instead of actually paying attention to what the fuck went on, and you're not actually casting fights properly half the time. A classic example, by the way, being the one where T1 Genji Game 5, where no one even really realized what happened. Like, it just all kind of like Faker's doing really fucking bizarre shit off to the side, like, which completely changes the dynamic of the fight. He just ults and carries that fucker off the other side of the universe while everyone's trying to nuke each other's AD carry. Like, this really weird fight, which basically all that happens in the cars is like, oh, everyone's dead. They're not going to end, are they? Oh, no. You can actually hear one of the casters, by the way, go, oh, no, they're going to end. Oh, after all of that, they're going to end off one fight. It's like, what are you doing? You're a caster, an impartial caster. What's going on? And another classic being like, oh, in the G2 series. Oh my God, broken blade. Oh my God, no way. He used his stopwatch. Irrelevant. Completely irrelevant, by the way.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Hans Sammer still has flash and is completely out of position getting nuked on the other side of the fucking river. Like, cast the fight properly. Don't have all these preconceived ideas about how you want it to go so you can get off your little funny lines or whatever, like, as it's going on. I think that is a real big issue. Again, a lot of this is conjecture, obviously, but I think they have loads of shit that's just pre-written down that they hope their boxes get ticked, and they cast in a way that angles towards that, and they're not always casting in real time. And that's why you get these kind of mistakes that sort of Jensen alluded to, and I'm talking about now. Like, I think that the casting, I think Dom spoke about this in better articulated, actually, like specifically with the hands fight. It's like, it is inexcusable that fight, which is so pivotal, is not cast properly. It is inexcusable, because apart from anything else, all the super casuals will genuinely believe, like, broken blade again internationally. Oh, what a fuck up. Where actually he's been pretty decent for him, probably his best international showing. And all anyone's going to remember is that guy going golden while Hans Sammer's griefing the game on the other side of river. So yeah, they keep stacking. But yeah, that is definitely another pet peeve.
I've got a few points on that, and then we'll actually talk about some League of Legends again, right? One thing I'll do in reverse order. One thing that you just made me realize there as well is, right, this is why people don't realize. When I do like a watch party, right, I do kind of try to make it personally. Like, what I want the expert cast to be, which is a cast without play-by-play. So there's more time to actually talk about what's happening. And you can choose the micro, you can choose the macro, you can do a narrative, you know. I don't make it what core streaming is, which is streaming. And when you core stream, this is why, guys, LS actually in some ways is the only one, probably because his niche is, we're just going to tunnel super deep on these aspects. But like Dom and Cadril is easily the worst. He is easily the worst. Cadril on a cast on an LEC one tries to do some casting. When he core streams, he is just reacting like a soundboard. He actually just, like, he does what you say in the team fight. Ruler, what? Ruler? Like, he's not saying anything. He's just reacting. Now, look, if you watch that, you're also just a player enjoying the vibes. What a crazy. And you know he'll break it down in a minute, in a second, but they don't cast, like, it's not casting in the same way. So
he's a React YouTuber.
He does. I mean, it's crazy because when I watch it, I always think, like, bro, you're way more articulate. You'd never say that on the broadcast. Like, this would be a massive slip up. But actually, on the broadcast, Stephen, they do that a little bit too much, quite frankly. Like, all I'll say is this, like, I'm going to tie it to another point in a second, but CSGO, I've told the League of Legends people, like Shocks, just straight up, like, we piss in your face, obviously metaphorically, in terms of like broadcast talent. Like, I told them, don't ever compare yourselves to us, because one, we don't have a broadcast meeting, a production meeting during the week. We don't tell each other our storylines. I don't even tell you, listen, unless you're like a new host that I like, I don't even tell you my points now that I'm going on the desk with. In fact, you know what? Sometimes I don't have my points. I'll just come up with them on the fly in response to what you're saying, and they'll be fire, and it'll look like we had a production meeting, but my production meeting was my head. So in this scenario, right, one of the areas where I also saw it was really whack was that fucking pause during that game where it was the fucking, what was the game? G2 game, obviously, yeah, the G2 elimination game. When that pause happened, mate, I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but like, if I came out of a time machine from 2015 with my CSGO desk fills, you would fucking worship the ground I walked upon, because that fill was fucking shit. Literally, because they didn't have anything prepared. This is what happens when you're always having a safety net and you always have set pieces. You can't freestyle when you're outside of it. And what happened was, even people like Emily just had nothing because no one was giving her anything to work with. They were all just and then they were doing mad shit, dude. Like, the one thing you could have done is talk abstractly or specifically about a pause situation or what could happen. And they kept saying, because they were so scared, because it's a Riot game, that the chrono break thing would or wouldn't work, and therefore it would change the outcome. And they might have said, like, oh, it'd be really unfair if, like, he actually was killed at that moment. And then they caught themselves. I don't know if people noticed, and they were going like, we shouldn't speculate actually at all. You're the only people right now who need to speculate. It is literally the only interesting thing you can do for us. And if you actually do it well, by the way, you get the one thing in League you never get, which is a break to talk about what's happening. Normally the game keeps going, and actually the next team fight means I can't talk more about the skirmish that was a second ago if it was like a re-engage or something. So that killed me in itself there, mate. I thought that was just terrible. They just don't have fill skills, basically. And by the way, CSGO, it's mainly filling. Look, the modern crowd are newer people, so they're not as good. But if you go look at like the Prime era, mate, we were untouchable for that. The joke was people didn't even know when we were filling. They really thought we were, the joke, this is real, people really thought we were delaying the game and that the players were, I even had pro players tell me, please stop talking so I can do the game. And I was like, you're so stupid, it's unbelievable. Just left click, you idiot. I'll handle the talking and thinking. Because obviously I was just having a guy in my ear like, Phil, for another 5 minutes. Oh, sorry, 10 minutes. Oh, actually, it's 1 minute. You know, and I was just having to make it look smooth. And then, yeah, I think that is what they'll do on Inferno. So anyway, to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content, well, subscribe to this channel then. Or, you know, be a pleb and don't.